We start the video with the most promising anime I'm watching this winter 2024 season. From titles that evoke romance and deep emotions to heartbreaking encounters with creatures from another world. Let's dive in! Metalic Rouge. We begin with a heavyweight anime original from Studio Bones. Original anime in the past often lacked a certain magic that manga adaptations possess. However, over the years, the language of original works has evolved, sometimes surpassing manga adaptations in quality. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is one such example. Metalic Rouge is Studio Bones' latest anime, serving as a celebration of its 25th anniversary. Set in the future on Mars, at a time when humans and androids called Neens are supposed to coexist, the series follows Rouge Red Star and Naomi Orthmen, two government agents assigned to pursue the Nine Immortals, a group of powerful Neens fighting a violent battle against the oppression of their kind. Rouge is the captivating central character from the start of the series, and what works especially well is how quickly the series deconstructs her. As Rouge begins to want to be herself, she routinely faces what freedom means and is criticized for not caring about her peers. Metalic Rouge saturates every fiber of my vision with its incredibly well-directed scenes and detailed layers of colors, lights, and shadows. The standout direction in each episode is what makes for excellent execution. In addition to featuring stunning animation and impeccable combat choreography directed by Motonobu Hori, the magnificent shot composition of the anime, along with a soundtrack, breathes extraordinary life into each scene, perfectly capturing the atmosphere whether in an action sequence or an intense moment of drama. Each episode of Metalic Rouge stands out in terms of direction and, in terms of pure visual spectacle, is undoubtedly one of the best anime offerings so far in early 2024. Moreover, Metalic Rouge exhibits all the virtues of the studio's best productions, rivaling masterpieces like My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, and Mob Psycho 100. So, it's one of Bones' big bets for the winter season, and I invite you to give it a chance if you're a fan of the cyberpunk and neo-cultural genre, which mixes that dystopian future with humanoid machines and that characteristic neon. You can enjoy it on Crunchyroll. Delicious in Dungeon. If you're a die-hard Dungeons & Dragons fan, the Delicious in Dungeon anime is undoubtedly an excellent choice for you, combined with the culinary art of cooking. This anime is produced by Studio Trigger and at first glance brings back memories of titles like Little Witch Academia for its peculiar simple drawing style, but beautifully animated and with pastel and soft colors that harmonize and soften the universe being explored within the series. The story follows the life of Laios, an adventurer who embarks with a group of explorers into dungeons with his sister. But everything ends up going very wrong when his sister is devoured by a fearsome dragon. Both Laios and his group of explorers end up traumatized and fleeing the place. However, Laios refuses to give up and has only 30 days to recover his sister, as that's the time it would take for the dragon to eat her. He gathers a new team to delve into the dungeons. Here he teams up with unique characters, including a very outgoing old cook who cooks delicacies using the strange creatures they hunt inside the dungeons. The series not only presents us with moments of comedy and adventure that give us goosebumps, but also presents a live-action style like Shokugeki no Soma, creating culinary dishes that make us want to taste them, creating culinary orgasms in us. Each situation presents a cooking challenge and creates motivation among the adventurers to save Laios' sister and cook a delicacy with the remains of the legendary dragon that lives in the depths of the place, motivating them to keep moving forward and achieve the goal. Trigger has done a very good job, and each episode is more exciting than the last. In a 28-minute format per episode and with simultaneous dubbing, we can appreciate this work on Netflix screens internationally.
Jana.
A Sign of Affection. I present to you a romance story that, in my opinion, is one of the revelations among fans of the genre of love, romance, and life recounts. The anime A Sign of Affection, or as it is in Japanese, Yubisaki to Renren, is a love story quite particular that reminds me a lot of the story of A Silent Voice. This story tells us about the life of Yuki Itoze, a young woman with a hearing disability. She has lived her life in a world of silence, unable to perceive many things in her environment. However, she sees the world from a very different perspective than others, allowing her to connect with details that a person with all 5 senses could not perceive in the same way. But everything changes when she meets Itsuomi Nagi, a silver-haired boy who sits beside her on a train. Yuki is immediately drawn to Nagi, who is kind, understanding, and seems to understand her in a way that no one else has. there's a curious interest in her, creating empathy. As they spend more time together, Yuki begins to experience emotions she has never felt before, such as joy, love, and desire. But Yuki also knows that her disability could be an obstacle to her relationship with Nagi. In the first few episodes, we witness the establishment of the emotions and circumstances surrounding the protagonists. Then we are presented with the central conflict of the story. From the first episode, we can learn a bit about everyone's way of communication, with sign language being one of the tools of expression and communication, which I find a tool that allows us to learn more about the inclusivity of people and how to integrate them into non-verbal communication. The series is presented from Yuki's thoughts and with a faint sound that allows us to understand a little how she perceives the world. Undoubtedly, the first few minutes are the click that will make you take some interest in the series. The animation is quite simple, but with care in the small details, contemplative shots, and emphasizing the expressions of the characters. The detail in the movement of hands is one of the attractions, as it allows us to learn sign language or have a certain interest in learning it. Undoubtedly, an inclusive work at its maximum splendor, creating empathy in us for those who have a disability and learning to look at them as humans who see the world differently. You can enjoy the anime on Crunchyroll, and it also features simultaneous dubbing. And to finish this list, we now turn to one of the most anticipated titles by many fans since its official announcement, Solo Leveling, a work based on a Korean webtoon known as manhwa. We immerse ourselves in a story of discovery, where modern society is forced to fight monsters to preserve the peace we all know. The protectors of humanity are called hunters, ranked from strongest to weakest. Our protagonist, Sung Jinwoo, is among the weakest, and there is no hope of becoming stronger. Solo leveling shows the difficulties of fighting these creatures, as once you encounter a monster of a higher rank than yours, you will inevitably die horribly, creating a heartbreaking drama where you don't know what will happen next. This intrigue drives solo leveling, and its sense of tension is elevated thanks to its magnificent animation. A1 Pictures continues to prove that it is one of the best studios working today, using 2D animation with CGI elements. The combination of the two styles doesn't always work in some series, but Solo Leveling uses it well by allowing giant creatures and statues to occupy space, making human characters feel minuscule in comparison. To add to this, the soundtrack is the key to excellence in the work, pushing everything we see to the next level, giving it epicness and a feeling of anguish in every moment it needs. The soundtrack is created by the same person who holds the position in adaptations of Attack on Titan. Furthermore, despite not being the studio's top work, both the sequences, the pace of each episode, and the excellent editing of each element make the work shine on its own and feel even more captivating than its original work in the first episode. Previously, I thought the anime would be good but would gradually lose its explicitness, but to my surprise, this has not been the case throughout its first episodes. All this to say that Solo Leveling has had an excellent start. As one of the most anticipated anime of 2024, it meets expectations and barely scratches the surface of what is to come. The only major complaint is that the supporting cast lacks depth, and Jinwoo's real journey won't truly begin until episode 3. However, this hasn't diminished the wonder it's becoming. You can appreciate the anime on Crunchyroll screens. Let me know your opinion in the comments and which anime you're watching this winter season that you'd like to recommend. We've reached the end of the video. There have been few titles that caught my eye this season. However, I hope to add other titles to this rigorous list of the best to watch in the winter 2024 season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters that you see on the screen right now. See you in the next video.